Boom! The bitch is back. It's been 5 months.
What's good, people?
Like, we do one episode per year.
I've a feeling I've seen that man's face. Who is he?
That's Kobe. Kobe has all the answers. I've got the feeling that behind it all is an organization that's a lot bigger than just his gang.
Before we get into our bullshit, Avi, can we talk about your eyes? Because I sent you some eye cream.
Oh, and it's worked.
You're looking good.
It's worked. Well, first, I tried this crazy trick.
I think he just changed his camera.
Well, it's that, and also I tried this whole crazy thing where I actually tried to sleep, and that started working a bit. So now I don't look like a zombie. And then use the eye
look
cream.
radiant.
Now we're good to go.
You look radiant.
Look good.
Yeah.
Like, I thought you were going to do an eye cream application live, but it's been like 5 months. You've probably run out by now. But a lot's happened in the last 5 months. Like, the entire industry collapsed. It's like it's all over now. So this is the remnants of the industry.
Yeah. There are only like 7 of us left now.
And we have crypto dick butts, so yay.
Yeah, that's the new Bored Apes, isn't it? They're just up only. So if you'd gone back in time to like February, when we did, I think, was it January or February when we recorded last? And you said,
I think it was February.
One of these things has nuked to 0. Like, one of the following list has gone to 0. Which would you have thought it was? You got like Voyager, Celsius, Luna, 3 Arrows Capital, Galaxy Digital, BlockFi, and I don't know, Nexo.
I mean, Luna's got to be at the top of that list. And then
So you'd have gone Luna.
3 arrows all the way at the bottom. That one,
Yeah.
that one.
Really?
I mean, I had no idea. Like, that one was just totally out of left field for me.
That was the most surprising.
That was just wild to me.
Really?
Was it not to you?
I think top of my list, Celsius, followed closely by 3 Arrows.
You thought 3 Hours would blow it before Luna?
I mean, I wasn't involved in the Luna thing. I just didn't touch it because it was preposterous.
Yeah, I think a lot of people were in that position, right? Like, I just ignore this thing because I don't understand it, and then
Not even
you
that I
ignore it
don't
for long
understand
enough.
it, but if someone feels the need
Like,
to
they
go
don't
on
understand
social
how
media
it's
every day,
working.
yeah, but if someone feels the need to go on social media every day and like try to have big dick energy, that means you don't got it.
Yeah.
So I just don't even engage.
Yeah, but that's what Richard Hart did. And Hex went up like...
Yeah, but Richard Hart is mad lit.
So Doe's not lit, but Richard
Malcolm.
Hart is lit?
No, Doe is the LARPer.
Doe or Richard? You're taking one home.
Richard, 100%. Have you seen the last... have you seen the last line?
It's the twerking videos,
Have
bro.
you seen the last line of his Twitter bio?
No.
No.
Someone pull it up.
What is it?
Z, you read us the last line of his Twitter bio. Z,
All right,
this
let me
is
see.
your honor.
He says, free coins soon. I make people rich. That's his bio.
Oh, he got rid of it. It used to say Red Bull can pee-pee.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
That's
that's
just a
the
disclaimer
key.
here.
That's
I do not support Hex. I don't support Richard. I don't support any of this. Don't. None of it.
Yeah, but if you had to take one of them home,
financial advice. Just it is not.
Yeah, but if you had to take one of them home, who would you go for, Avi?
Yeah, Avi, let's hear it. Are you taking Doe home or Richard?
How do I choose neither? Is that a choice?
You don't. Look, I played the game.
You short both tokens.
I feel like Doe.
You take both and hope they're more interested in each
I
other.
feel like Doe is loud in the streets and quiet in the sheets. So I'm going with him.
Interesting.
Yeah, fair enough. But, all right,
Let's cut that part out.
Protect yourself.
We can't afford editors anymore.
That's gonna cut out.
Wait, Wait, but if you're gonna give me a Sophie's choice, I get to give you a Sophie's choice. Like, this is an equal opportunity podcast, you guys.
You know, it wasn't
Sophie's
really
choice
the question
film
that was wrong. I think it was my response. Anyway.
Is
Own
Sophie's
it,
choice a
Avi.
film where Meryl Streep's a spider or something?
I think honestly, going back to the original question, Celsius and Luna, they were just these like massive swords that were gonna come kill us at some point, and it was just a matter of time. And then the rest of it is like totally out of left field. Like I honestly didn't really like. I expected some crazy stuff to go down, but I didn't expect 3 arrows to take out $20 billion and blow themselves up and nuke Bitcoin down to 18K. Like that was unexpected for me, at least. That was just wild.
Yeah, I kind of thought they were like hedged for a lot of their stuff just from like how they were tweeting.
Yeah, I think that's...
I mean, it seemed like, because every time they would like bull tweet, I mean, it would be like close to like a local high or something. So I was assuming that they just had positions protected like in other areas.
Wait, but Z, can we talk? Like, what you just said is actually perfect articulation. Everyone based their confidence on their tweeting. Like, that's unhinged.
You mean the lenders?
Well, I mean, yeah. But I mean, like, if you're that confident, I just assume that if you're managing so much money, you have some sort of downside protection. That just was my thought, but I guess that
I mean,
didn't
the
make
real
sense.
question is, did they ever have a lot of money to start with?
Yeah, we don't know, right?
I have no
we
idea.
Don't know. Like, I think that they probably did all right, took a huge drawdown, and then because of that drawdown went on tilt and started, being fraudulent. But it also seems like it is possible they never really had much money of their own.
But you have to remember,
Because they had loans from everybody.
but where the money came from, they had a big Bitcoin call back in like 17, 18. That's when I first met them. And then they did the Grayscale carry trade in size, but I think they started hurting when the Grayscale premium flipped negative into the discount. Because at one point, like their 13F filings, they owned at one point, I think 6 or 7% of the trust's NAV. And all of that was financed with borrow from Genesis. All of it. So when that flipped to profit to 20%, they went from 20 to 50% profit to 20 to 50% loss on the discount. Like, you can get KO'd pretty quick.
Yeah.
I remember Loom Dart was talking about that. Loom was talking about that for like a really long time. Because he was saying like the GBTC was the biggest issue because like the trade wasn't working anymore.
Yeah.
But I do remember that. That was like early. That was early though, because if that happened early, then basically they're playing catch up.
February
since,
2021.
Yeah, I mean, if I remember correctly,
February.
basically like
February,
what happened was everybody once it flipped into a discount, everybody got super worried about it. And then the rest of the market just ripped so hard that people kind of forgot that was a thing, right? I mean, you had like AVAX go from 14 to 140, you had Luna go up, and everybody just go, oh, okay, maybe they lost on GBTC, but I'm sure everybody made a ton of money everywhere else, so it doesn't really matter anymore. And so that's probably covered. And then when the rest of the market came crashing down, all that, I guess nobody sold. And then they didn't have any collateral to actually post.
Yeah.
But they couldn't sell. They were locked up. And you have to remember, 3AC invested in those rounds, like not seed round, not Series A. They invested later on in the mega rounds. Like they invested in AVAX, I think, in the $12 round in 2021. So they weren't even liquid yet. They invested in Luna in like $15 round. And then when they did the LFG thing, it was like $20. So, they're out of the money on a lot of those trades as of April, May.
But can't you just hedge on?
Yeah,
like,
but it
perk
takes a
stuff?
lot
If
of
you-
capital. It's super capital
If you have
inefficient.
capital,
It's super capital inefficient
they
to
ain't
do
got
that.
no cash. They ain't got no fucking cash, Z.
Yeah.
I
That's
see.
kind of the major issue
My
that
hip.
keeps cropping up is people try to. That's also why I think Definity squeezed so hard in the beginning. It's because a bunch of people tried to hedge it, and then they just got taken out, and it kept going up, and they were like, "Holy shit, I don't have enough capital to actually maintain this position." And so that happens.
Yeah.
I think that actually happens
Right.
pretty frequently. which is why it's...
Imagine getting blown up, shorting your own bag, only for it to go to zero anyway. That...
Yeah.
Bro. Oh, yo. I think, bro, I shorted Luna in like this December when I thought everything had topped, like Bitcoin and Ethereum had topped. I shorted Luna at like 50, 55 and got stopped. And it ended up going to zero, like 6 months later? Like, I thought it was going.
Honestly, I feel like crypto introduces a special kind of pain into people's lives. Like, and no, like how else do you go broke 100xing on something? It's just it's crypto. It's free. It's crypto.
Yeah.
Like,
but we are also all
like what was the one? What was
Yeah.
What was the one fund that lost like literally almost like their entire? It was like hashed or whatever.
Yeah, they lost like 3 point something billion out of their 4 billion, but like the entire gain was all from Luna, right? So like they consciously said we're not selling because we don't want to extract more from the ecosystem. Like if you do a trade and you make 4 billion on it, you've realized $1 billion. Maybe you just go, we'll take the 1 billion and no more reg issues or something.
Can we talk about what actually undid Luna, though? What actually undid Luna was people washing their Luna profits through Terra, right? So the trade is Luna is up to what, like 120. You don't want to market dump whatever you own if you're an early VC. So Terra was the perfect way to dump your Luna without selling it. You lock it up, you mint UST, you take your UST, you sell it into USDC, you leave the market maker holding the UST bag, you have your cash, sayonara bitches. So I think a couple of investors cashed out close to $5 billion at the top. It resulted in a bunch of market makers being stuck with UST they couldn't fucking sell. That's when it started to depeg and the whole thing unwound. And if you remember, the reason Celsius got fucked is they're one of the people who exited their Terra when they were told not to. So it was like this whole, like the Terra debacle and Celsius and all of this are like interlinked together in this really crazy, strange way.
Even LFG or Terraform Labs or whoever, I don't know which one, did that as well, right? Like those, they were doing those big Bitcoin purchases. Yep. They sold Luna to UST, well, they minted UST, and then they bought Bitcoin with that UST, so they were effectively dumping the UST onto somebody else, and whoever that was might have instantly pushed it back to USDC as well, so like through into the curve pool or wherever. So even they were doing that as well, and I think at some point you just had to ask, like, who is the buyer for UST? Like, when there's this much available, like there's so much that wants to exit, market's turning down, who is the buyer that's coming in to like buy these like dollar tokens, basically confidence dollar tokens? But the most interesting about the Luna debacle for me is how many people longed Luna on the way down. So like you saw big like YouTube people who were like very pro Luna the whole time being like, this is the best price you'll ever get on Luna at like $5. And a bunch of like crypto Twitter people like knife catching longs, like it's gonna bounce like crazy. And like, did no one like figure out the mechanism design for this?
No, I think a lot of people just had absolutely no clue what was going on. I mean, I won't dox his name, but there was a guy who works at my fund that he's a macro guy, brilliant trader, like one of the best traders I know. He wanted to buy Luna at 15 because he said, "Oh, it's down 70% in 2 days. Like, why wouldn't I buy it? Right? Like, why wouldn't I buy it?" And it's because you don't necessarily think about the crazy stuff that crypto comes up with. Again, a unique sort of pain. Like, if some. Right?
Infinite supply.
You don't expect there to be infinite supply minted on top of you if something's down 70%. You go. I mean, if you're like crypto adjacent, you're like, oh, I've heard of Luna before. I mean, big L1 down 75% in a day. Let me go buy some. And he called me up and I said, no, don't do that. Whatever you do, don't buy it. So save some pain there. But it was it's like if you don't know, you don't know. I think that's what's tough about crypto. You really got to know.
What do you think Jump were thinking? Because they were like repegging it, right? Post depeg, they were like, it went to 97, and they were like, just buying all the UST. I think they bought billions of dollars with them.
I honestly thought like somehow the withdrawals were going to get throttled at some point. Like I didn't think that they could make the full plans that they had to protect the peg public, because I feel like if people knew some other, like all the specifics of it, then like it would be a lot easier to break. But it felt like there was no obfuscation, like no hidden items or anything behind the scenes. Like it was literally just what people knew from the white paper, and we're going to try and buy it back up. Yeah. Honestly, I don't know. I'm not really sure, because there was a ton of people. There was like a ton of people, basically all in the same cohort to like protect the peg.
Delphi were in big, Jump were in pretty big, 3AC were in pretty big. It's crazy, and I think a lot of people at some point just went, these people have a lot of money, more money than me, so maybe they know something I don't, therefore I'm not going to short it, or I'm not going to touch it, or maybe even gave them enough confidence to like start using it. I know one of my friends who got nuked a little bit in UST said, like, I didn't understand. I thought, how the perpetual motion machine worked, but Jump as advisors, they're smart, right? They have tons of money, right? And all these people are building on it and making long-term commitments to it. So maybe they know something I don't, and I'll just take the 20% for like 6 months and move on later. But I'd love to know what those people were thinking. I guess you never really know. You never really get a true answer with hindsight bias and stuff.
But I feel like this is not new. If you remember the last cycle, right, like 2017, 2018, a bunch of shitcoins died a painful death. And there was definitely this contingent that sort of like held on to hope. They bought into any rally and then just got decimated. So I feel like this is just the psychology of these irrational bull markets where you make so much money so quickly that you start to believe that these things are actually real and that they make sense, when like in an objective, rational sort of view, like it doesn't make sense in any way, shape, or form, which is why I was like, I cannot get on this train because I don't get it. But there are people who start to believe it, and so it kind of becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't even realize
we do this every cycle. It's like we can't.
I didn't even
stop.
realize Luna didn't make sense until like April 2022. I learned about it in like February 2021, so I was late. I didn't realize it made sense until April 2022 when I was like, when the bet stuff was happening, and I was like, okay, I need to figure out who's going to win this bet.
Oh,
and I went and like looked into it, and
Kobe.
I was like,
yeah.
And I was like, okay, I understand who's going to win the bet now.
So, did you just pocket? Did you get to pocket the cash, or what happened there?
No, so technically, I need to wait until the actual date, which is like something like the 9th or 19th of March 2023, to decide the winner, because it was 1 year from today if Luna is over $88. But in practice, I just gave the money to the winners, and I bought enough Luna so if it goes to $88, I can also pay out dough as well. It cost me like $50 or something. So if Luna goes up,
What a cover.
Yeah, if Luna goes up enough, then this $50 will be worth 22 million, and I'll give it to dough. And then both people won. But it seems like reasonably unlikely. So yeah, the GCR and Algod have their winnings in the meanwhile. It seems silly for me to hold on to them for that long. Then I've got custody risk holding other people's money. I don't like it. So yeah, that's all signed, sealed, and delivered. That was the easiest $11 million GCR's ever made, I think. He tweeted about it, sent some money, and then just got it paid back within like 2 months.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like he doesn't have to try very hard anyway.
I can't believe Doe actually made that bet.
Did you see that GCR actually tried to...
Him making the bet, I'm not
GCR
surprised.
tried to one-up it to like 50 mil, and then there was no response. That would have been legendary. I would have had 100 million of other people's money. Then I would have started to consider rugging. I would have been like, it's maybe not fully worth it yet, but depending on how bad the market gets, it might be in 6 months. But yeah, fun times. I don't think there's too much like interesting stuff to say about Luna, because in crypto terms, it happened like 5 years ago now. Even though it was a few months, but it feels like it was 5 years ago to me, and everything that can be said about it for now has been said, I think. But the 3AC stuff, do you think they'll get a redemption arc? Do you think like one of them's pocketed enough money to come back as a prop trader, an anonymous account and run it up Sifu style?
They might be still trading.
Yeah. They have their yacht. They have their luxury houses. I think if you look at like the entity structure, the holdco at the top, which is owned by their wives, has like 70 or 80 million in coins that got sent to it. Like, they're chilling.
Yeah. So that means.
I mean, they could come back as an anon for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if they'd be able to come back as themselves. I don't know how many people are going to trust them after this.
I mean, it's
But
crypto.
although,
If
like,
they
on
launch
the
an
flip side,
L1.
like, they could launch an L1. Maybe they're behind Aptos and Sui.
Yeah.
Seriously.
I mean, Sui,
I mean,
Suzu, I don't know.
Sui is probably the worst name for an L1 I've heard. Yeah, if it goes badly, it's got the first part of suicide in its name. Like it set itself up for failure straight away.
Oh my.
Yeah, that's bad. Aptos, I guess, is like slightly better of a name, but
I was like App Chain, like Aptos.
yeah.
Are either
that.
of them worth paying any attention to more than making fun of their names? I don't know, because I haven't.
Okay, can I go off on L1s for a minute?
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's hear.
Okay, we have a fuckload of L1s who have all raised money at insane valuations. The market caps on these things are pretty low. The organic demand for these tokens is pretty low. People are still throwing crazy money at L1s at insane, like multi-billion-dollar valuations. How are people thinking they're going to make money?
What
we
do you
just
mean, like the VCs?
Yeah, VCs, but like investing in, yet another L1. Like, is the ROI for L1 investing still there? Because none of the L1s are really sustaining value.
Okay, so
I think the answer is yes, but I think it's just because of flows. Sorry to cut you off. What were you going to say?
I think you got to reframe the question as like, do the VCs even care about making money? Like, sure, like they would like it. That would be preferable if it went up. All good.
I do. I like making money.
But the way I think about a lot of crypto VCs is I think that the majority of them would not get accepted for a job at like, I'm trying to think, I don't want to insult any jobs by saying that crypto VCs won't get them. But like, think of a bad job. Think of something like shit. I think most crypto VCs probably wouldn't even be able to succeed in applying for that job. Like, I don't think many of them are capable. And their business model is, if people will give us $500 million and we get to charge a management fee on that, if we make money, that's a bonus. So they're just paying us to get exposure to all of crypto. They don't really understand it. They don't understand like what the difference between Aptos and Sui is, or what DeFi is. They don't use DeFi. They don't know what these things are. They don't understand why some stuff goes up and some stuff doesn't. So from their perspective, they're just getting paid to gamble on a bunch of these things because they spend enough time reading like what the hot deals are. So I don't know
they
if
also
a lot of
are
these VCs
all
even
hiring.
care.
But they're also there's this trend of VCs now hiring academics and like having research. And I'm like, it's great that you can have like a PhD cryptographer tell you the nuts and bolts of this cryptography. Like, that has nothing to do with the pumpability of the token. Those are two entirely like, your ROI on an investment and its technical merits are completely detached. The last time we let academics dictate markets, we got long-term capital management, and that did not go well. So I just like, I don't understand. I feel like I don't get it, but maybe it's just my small brain. I don't know. I have a small brain.
The only area where it maybe makes sense is like ZK stuff, right? Like the ARV team are not going like, we really need to understand like our cryptography better here. But like maybe the ZK teams are like, they they're doing like fringe cutting edge cryptography, maybe. Maybe the scaling stuff needs cryptography research.
Which is very relevant to the protocol itself, but as a VC, aside from evaluating the technical merits of an investment, like what is more research going to reveal? Like the market is predicated on animal spirits, quote unquote. That's how we got Luna.
research in a VC is just a marketing division, isn't it?
It is.
I think at some point in the future, that stuff's actually going to matter. I mean, like if you have a bunch of, let's say you have a bunch of academics on your team, right? And you're trying to figure out, hey, who's going to win? Is it going to be Ethereum? Is it going to be Near? Is it going to be Avalanche? Is it going to be whatever, right? I actually think that, like, at least in the bull market, it doesn't really matter that much. But in the bear market, it matters a ton. I mean, personally, I've spent probably way too much time thinking about the ETH merge and whether that's going to be successful or not, and all the weird stuff that's going to happen with it, and all the edge cases and what's going to break and what's not going to break. And that's actually pretty tough. Like, you actually need to understand the technicals in order to figure that out. Because the thing is, like, look, if the ETH merge goes successfully, if Arbitrum manages to roll out successfully, if Optimism manages to scale successfully, then that poses a big threat. Now the question is, will it? Right? And that actually kind of is a technical question, I think, at the end of the day. I mean, if you look at AVAX, like the current C chain scales basically the same way that
the cringe chain,
it doesn't really scale that much. And so the question is like, will they be able to scale? Will the roadmap actually, scale them in the future? I don't know. I feel like these questions are more important now in the bear than they were before.
Light pivot. We will come back to this. But did you see that the dude from Avax Labs just won a defamation suit against someone that called him a terrorist?
No, did that happen?
He just won in court, like some crypto influencer. No, the other one. He just won in court. Some crypto influencer called him a terrorist, and apparently he was like paid to do that or something. I don't know. I didn't read the whole suit, but they just won. Anyway, back to your point.
How much money did they get?
I don't know. But like, you can figure out who the crypto influencer is, I think, because it says how many like Twitter and YouTube followers they have, and it like says what their bio used to be. So I think you could probably figure it out.
So if someone talks shit about me on the internet, does that mean I can sue them for defamation?
Depends, is it true or not?
Kobe, how pissed are you that you didn't get a $13 million?
I have thoughts.
The SEC thing.
Yeah, how pissed are you that you didn't get a $13 million payout?
I'm not that bothered. I'm not that bothered about it. Like, I read a little bit about the whistleblower scheme earlier today because someone tagged me in it. You get 10 to 30% of the settlement. So the dude who got 16 million, the whole settlement must have been huge.
Oh yeah, I guess that's nuts.
Yeah, so it was either like 160 million to like around 60 or something. So that whatever they whistleblew must have been pretty big. Whereas the dude who was front running SEC stuff made like 1.2 million with his friends. So it's like not that lucrative. And the SEC didn't even do anything anyway. It was the DOJ and someone else. But I like that there was this like domino of like, I tweeted this thing and then Cathie Wood sold the bottom of Coin. Like there's like a connected chain of events, and she said she saw it because of the regulatory scrutiny. Like, okay, post a tweet in February, and then 6 months later, Cathie Wood sells the bottom. It's amazing.
Well done.
Yeah.
It goes to show you that nobody really knows what they're doing. Truly.
Yeah.
I think that has been the theme of 2022 is like even people who appear to have their, like I at least appear chaotic and I admit I do not have my shit together, but a lot of people who we thought were really smart and had their shit together did in fact not have it together at all. All. It makes me feel really pretty good about myself. I'm not gonna lie, because no matter how fucked up my L's are, like there is a whole long laundry list of L's that are far more astonishing. I feel quite
like
vanilla.
Your own evaded L's. Yeah.
But I feel very vanilla. I feel like just a regular, normal fuck up. Pretty nice. I'm like average.
I think the 3AC blow up was the one that gave me those sort of feelings. Not Cathie Wood selling the bottom of Coin, or the like arc full round trip of the COVID trades. But the 3AC blow up was like, okay. Like, maybe
like,
I've done fine.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yeah, maybe I've done all right.
I'm all right. Yeah.
Maybe I should have added more risk at times. Maybe I should have cut a position better here and there. But I didn't go to negative 2 billion, so I'm fine with that.
And
Like,
blow up like a third of the companies in the space along with you. Pretty good.
Although I think that act, like, it nuked the market, but the act of taking out all these like completely incompetent, clearly like bad companies, that's a gracious act, I think.
Are you saying that some of these companies were
term.
not well run, Kobe? What?
They're just like they're gonna blow up at some point, right?
Maybe they were plants. Maybe they were an industry plant. That's why nobody.
I
can
think
find
some
them.
of the current Bitcoin maxis are potentially industry plants because I feel like there's been a long ongoing attack on Bitcoin core contributors, and now it's starting to happen from within the community, which is like a really weird cell phone, right? Like people that have been contributing to Bitcoin for like 10 years are being hounded out by users of Bitcoin. That flies conspiracy theories for me.
It does come off like they're being paid. Like some of the stuff that I see some of the like super maxi Bitcoin people on Twitter say, just like doesn't seem like something.
I mean, none of it's logical.
Like that rational person would say. Yeah. Like it doesn't seem like a rational person would come to the same conclusion that's been in crypto for a long period of time. I mean, I guess like the religious aspect of it could like get people there, but it seems really surprising.
I think a lot of it's just brand. I mean, there's so many people out there that are like follow all these Bitcoin maxis, and they got this kind of cult following behind them. And the more you play it up, the more hate you generate, the more clicks you get, and the more you sell whatever scam product you're selling to Bitcoiners.
But I do think
Yeah,
that
but-
Bitcoin
that's
maximalism is also like a reasonably honorable position because of the Immaculate Conception, right? And because of a lot of the properties of Bitcoin, I think you can hold that position in earnest, and it's reasonably honorable. So I can imagine why a lot of people admire these people. But I also think there's an effect now on the internet where it is just impossible to convince somebody of something because it's so much easier to find a group of people that agree with you and you don't need to convince them. And Bitcoin maxis, but also, virtually every other crypto tribe takes that and uses that as like a audience or monetization or marketing like tool for whatever product they're selling, whatever exchange they run or whatever.
I just think a lot of the crazy people that Z's talking about are the marketing people, in my opinion. Like a lot of like the super crazies, the ones that are out there that are just attacking people that like Ethereum and attacking people that like Stacks. Like it's funny, they're like a bunch of people with .btc in their name that are supporting Stacks, and Stacks is ostensibly, actually pretty good for Bitcoin. And then all these crazy Bitcoin maxis out there are like, if you have .btc in your name and you support Stacks, you're a bad person and you are supporting a shitcoin. It's like in what world?
Okay, but I
think a lot of that's kind of.
But I think the issue
just
is
marketing.
But I think the issue is that Bitcoin maximalism has sort of become synonymous with like these other fringe cultural movements like keto and seed oil hate. And now there is actually a really interesting thing happening in Bitcoin that I think is really scary. I agree with you, Kobe, to a certain degree that Bitcoin maximalism is honorable, and I am a Bitcoiner at heart, and I will defend Bitcoin with every breath I have. I think it is the most important cryptocurrency in terms of like what we always talk about as the aspirational goals of this industry and this movement. I think Bitcoin is the most important in that regard. I think the issue is that a lot of Bitcoiners have zero knowledge of any kind. They parrot shit that other influencers say, and even those influencers are not well researched. They are not credible. Their arguments are not like based in any sort of fact or in any sort of objective or even subjective reality. So you have this increasingly like insane echo chamber. You have these insane purity tests that somehow you have to pass to be a Bitcoiner. And it's just not fun, number one. And number two, there's a huge sort of like alt-right element. There's a huge Christian fundamentalist element. It's deeply misogynistic. Like the Bitcoin incels, like I was mentioning to you guys in the pre-show, they're sending me pictures of empty egg cartons to like imply that I'm barren and somehow that my role as a woman is to be baby incubator. I'm like, what is actually wrong with you? Like, where in your life did you take this turn that this is somehow an activity you spend time on? Like, I think Bitcoin maximalism in the way it's implemented and practiced today is a mental illness. Truly. It's really sad.
That is a tagline for the show. Bitcoin maximalism is a mental illness.
It is. Add it to the
be.
DSM. Add it to the DSM-6. Like, holy shit, these people are fucking batshit
I think a lot.
Absurd.
crazy.
I think a lot of the people that you're like talking about, like the incel crew, I think that's also like part of the really early like internet people.
I mean,
that's like a function of that also. Because it's like people who were online all the time, like 24/7, didn't really have
like the 4chan and 8chan.
Like, like relationships, social relationships. Yeah. Like a ton of those people also are like some of those early Bitcoin people. So you have that group that exists, and then you have like the more reasonable people. So I definitely think there's like segments for sure. But that incel group, they would have been incels with or without.
Yeah, but it's like Bitcoin gives them, Bitcoin is
present.
becoming a religion, and it's given them like spiritual purpose. I don't know. It's really interesting. I think cults are fascinating.
Maybe it's that there's a group of people who have organized around Bitcoin maximalism, but actually are not really representing Bitcoin maximalism. It's more like they're using it as a tool to form a group of people who agree on a bunch of stuff. Because I know loads of Bitcoin maximalists, like a bunch of the Bitfinex guys are Bitcoin
they're
maxis
dope.
And Nomad's a bit of a Bitcoin maxi as well. And like there's a bunch of those people who are what I see as like the 2013 sort of Bitcoin maximalists. They think Bitcoin's the only thing of value. They don't necessarily think everything is a scam. They just think it will not appreciate against Bitcoin on a long enough time horizon. I don't think none of them do any of this stuff. And I think a lot of them also probably don't relate well to the crew that use it as like a marketing or audience growth tool maybe. But it is weird now because and also it's also the most futile discussion of all time. Like you see Udi and Nick arguing with the same like 6 people just forever, and it's like, what? There's no resolution to this.
Yeah.
Like no one actually cares. No one's gonna go, yeah, actually I've just changed my mind, Udi was right. It's like they're just gonna argue forever. They're just in purgatory. Like, Udi is now Sisyphus, pushing a stone up, and there's someone on the other side who just thinks Udi's wrong, pushing a stone up as well, and it just goes on forever until no one cares anymore. I already don't care.
I don't care. I'm actually really bored by this conversation. It's dumb.
Imagine what the viewers, the listeners are thinking. Like, oh god, like you guys are bored. How do you think we fucking feel?
Okay, wait, hold on. But can I talk? Oh, sorry. Go ahead. No, please.
Sorry. I was gonna say like back the other discussion we were having about the L1s, like how they don't really serve a purpose. I think kind of like how we haven't seen like the full extent of what crypto can be used for yet. I think that until we see like the same amount of people using like Visa or whatever like every day, until that's possible in crypto, I think you're gonna keep seeing people try and create these L1s or like scaling via L2s, like the different virtual machines that people are creating and trying to like move the space forward. I think that's just going to keep happening until something exists where 100x the amount of users that exist in crypto now can use what we have, like the applications that exist. So unless we think the demand for crypto is kind of like tops, then I think we're going to keep seeing innovation there. And even if it's not the L1s, it's through Ethereum, I think like that design space is going to keep being iterated on.
What do you guys think about L2 season? Optimism ripped. Everything on Optimism went up 1,000,000%. And now people are buying all the Arbitrum stuff too. It's all just going through the roof.
I was talking about like late last year when I was doing more research on rollups. I was like thinking, well, the rollups, if they have tokens, I want to buy that token instead of being long Ethereum, because if you're gonna make Ethereum essentially just a settlement layer, you're gonna need the transaction activity on rollups to go through the roof. And if there's a token on those rollups, then the only way that people are going to be incentivized to use them is like, oh, if the token goes up, I'm buying the token. I'm using the apps on the rollups. I want to buy that. And then like some of the rollups have plans to use their own like data availability like solutions. So I've always thought that like the L2 tokens is going to be a play, especially because Ethereum is so big already, and it's kind of like it's switching its role. Like it's not going to be purely an execution layer, or all the layers going to be purely like settlement and data availability. So it's like Ethereum as like its market cap should include rollups in like it's
the thing that sucks about the roll-up trade is they're all open at like valuation potential, right? Like
yeah,
you got optimism. Like if you weren't in the seed round,
somebody tried to sell me Arbitrum at 15 billion.
Exactly. So it's like if you're not already
lit
15.
What's optimism?
I got hit up. So they called me up and was like, "Hey, you want to buy some Arbitrum?" Like, yeah. What price? He goes, 15 billion. No, dude.
Bro, I'll do you 14.
In what world?
Damn.
I'll do you 14 billion if you're interested.
I'll do 10.
Oh, what's Ethereum at? Like 200?
I'll do 9.9.
Fuck off, Kobe.
Okay, keep going, guys.
But what's optimism? Optimism's at 7.3. 7.3.
What's it? It's like 400.
Yeah.
Yeah, the current market cap is 365 million, and the fully diluted valuation is 7.3 billion.
Okay, wait. I want to provide a counterpoint to what you said, though, Z. I fully agree with you that, like, this quest to continue searching for an underlying infrastructure layer that could support billions of users potentially is a noble quest. I think the issue is from a surface area perspective, right? The reason Ethereum and to some degree Bitcoin are so popular is once you get familiar with Ethereum and build a competence around Ethereum, right? How many different like L1s are you going to learn to build on, and how many different consensus models can you specialize in? So this idea that there will be hundreds of L1s is one I don't necessarily agree with. I think there will be convergence around like 4 or 5, maybe a dozen at most, because maintaining consensus is computationally and socially incredibly expensive. And so I think it's just difficult for me to foresee a future where there are like dozens or hundreds of L1s that all have billions of dollars of economic activity. I think the approach that I believe in more is there will be a handful of L1s that capture 80 to 90% of the economic value as the settlement layer. And then you'll have modular scaling via L2s and other layers on top of that base settlement layer where execution happens. I almost view Solana as a play on the execution layer, right? Like Solana is not excellent for settlement, but it's fantastic as an execution layer. And so I think, again, like what we'll see is you'll only have a handful of L1s that are trusted and have secure settlement. Because again, I think as we're seeing with all of these protocols, especially the proof of stake ones, is like, nobody participates. The delegates are just like the VCs. So the security model is kind of fundamentally flawed. So I think there will only be a handful of security models at sort of the L1 layer that have the trust of a large enough community to actually be a secure, immutable settlement layer. I don't know. Happy to argue that.
Yeah, I mean, one of the first things that we do whenever we look at an L1 or we look at a project or we look at something new is we just try to get a sense of who's building on it and why they chose to build on it. And the answer that almost always comes up is, oh, they've got really good dev tooling, and so it's super easy to build on, or they're paying me to do it. Yeah. Or like, like those are kind of like the two reasons. So I vibe with that a ton. I think that it's a lot of it is going to start to coalesce around specific chains, because once you know how to develop in a certain language or you know how to deal with a certain platform, you tend to just want to stick there or stick to similar things, which is why I think you saw a ton of people from Ethereum, like, you know, people were building on AVAX because it was kind of easy for them, but there's not as much overlap between Solana and Ethereum developers, just because, you know, it's not the same skill set.
Well, because that one guy was not developing on Ethereum.
Yeah. That one dude.
Yo, bro's a legend.
I forgot about that. That was crazy.
He's a
He's
legend.
moved to Aptos now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
He's a move. Yeah, he's a move guy.
You guys, can we just talk? I'm honestly, this is my thing. Like, anytime you have metrics, they will be gamed. Like, kudos to this dude. He understood the game. He played it really fucking well. Mad props. Like, honestly, I'm mad that I didn't think of it. This. Great.
Do you think he needed to do so many heteronyms and like talk to himself and like all that, like weave that web though? Like that bit seems a little bit misleading.
It's part of the game.
But that makes it more chaotic. Yeah, it makes it more chaotic. It's like kind of fun when things are chaotic. To me, that's like chaotic neutral.
Bro, at one point,
didn't he make himself really
at one
rich?
point, people thought he was beefing with himself.
I don't think it needed to scam people. I mean, like, good on him for developing, but I don't even. How do you even upkeep 12 different Twitter accounts?
Mental illness, Avi, like mental illness.
Yeah, I've got.
So he was a Bitcoin maxi.
I feel like there's a lot of crypto Twitter though. There's a lot of crypto Twitter accounts that are definitely like under multiple pseudonyms for sure. Like,
wait, Z, give us
I
give us
disagreed
yours.
with somebody on Twitter today, and they're.
I don't have one. I need to
your
make
main
one.
got
I
banned.
really don't. I had my main got banned. I had this account, the one I'm on now. I need to make like a different identity though.
Yeah.
I'm doxxed. I don't have an Anon account.
Somehow,
only got 2.
Malcolm, your mic has disappeared.
Oh, wait, Avi, you got in a Twitter argument today? Hold on, you guys. Avi got in a fight on the playground. What happened? What happened?
Like, it was the dumbest. The entire point of me saying this was just because I got in a Twitter argument with somebody, and then their alt started subtweeting me, and I knew it was their alt. So I was like, dude, like, why don't I'm so confused right now? Why don't you just that I know this account? Like, I don't know. Like, why are you doing this? But no, Twitter is the playground. Yeah.
I've got a Bitcoin Maxi alt account where I just insult everybody and tell it so everything's a scam. It's got like
You kind of do look like Corey.
yeah, I've got like
I see that.
60,000 followers, and it's like popping off. It's my favorite one to tweet on because it's like you can't say anything wrong as long as you pander.
I bet it's kind of fun, honestly. It's kind of
Yeah,
like it's like acting.
It's great. It's a great like exercise in like creative writing as well.
Because you could take a position that's complete opposite of whatever ones that you have, then you have to make an argument for it. Actually makes sense.
I've also
Actually a
got
good
an
idea.
Ethereum
I'm
Maxi
going
account, and I got hired by Bankless as the content writer. It's crazy. I got like 30 jobs now. Don't do no work though.
That's actually lit. That's actually lit.
Well, I think there's a lot of troubled people on crypto.
I
Twitter.
agree.
Yeah, but crypto is
Especially now, we're only left with the troubled people. There's the only people left.
The well-adjusted
Like,
people went back
nobody
to their
else
jobs.
We're left with the troubled and angry
But
people.
here's the amazing thing. Crypto is one of the few places where being mentally ill can make you rich.
Yeah, probably.
This
There's
is
like
true.
not many others that I can
Yeah.
think of off the top of my head.
Yeah. There is...
You're like the people who are buying crypto dick butts.
I have said many times that I am unwell. I have never refuted this claim.
Okay. Does everybody on this podcast own a
I
crypto
don't
dick
think.
butt?
I
Except for me.
don't know if I
don't
do. I don't think
I don't own one. No.
You guys, I
mean,
gave
most
you
of
the crypto...
Most
Okay.
NFTs I got sent free.
You guys, I gave you the...
No, you did. You gave us that.
I gave you
like
the dick
bottom,
butt
too.
alpha in February on this very podcast. I said there is a 20-year-old somewhere out there who has made millions of dollars trading crypto dick butts while you are slaving away at Goldman Sachs hating your miserable life. Were you not listening? Alpha
Now I
drop.
have to check the floor.
It's facts.
Oh my god, it's like 5x.
Yeah, I know, but
Try
Ethereum's
10.
down 80%,
Try
so
10.
it's probably flat in USD.
No, like from the bottom of ETH. It went from 1
Oh, shit.
on July 6th to 3.3 right now. So 3x while ETH 2x.
But what was it in like January?
It was 0.25.
We don't talk about January.
Fine.
We don't talk about it. That was a different time.
But also...
NFTs are
But
super
also,
high
wait,
in
the whole
January.
thing about crypto dick butts is, though, there's no utility, there's no roadmap, there's literally nothing. Like, we, as a community, promise absolutely nothing. And I love it. Like, it's such a fun community because there is no objective other than the meme. And I actually think communities where people expect utility are filled with, like, anger and hate, because when you promise people utility and you extract all of the economic value of future utility up front, all you get is a bunch of angry bag holders. I think it's better to have no utility and to just be a complete abstraction of a concept, and to just have fun with it. So, like, I don't know. I think that's the future of a lot of PFP NFTs, because this utility thing is not really making sense.
Yeah, like just it being a pure collectible makes sense. Like I don't want to play it as my profile picture in a shit like 2D game, or like I don't even want to play in the
No.
improbable built like game engine for every single project. I'm not interested in it at all. I don't want a chess set made of cool cats. I don't want any of this shit.
I want a chess set made out of dick butts.
What
Sounds lit.
I'd play that.
All right.
But you can't ignore that the best performing NFT series of all time did a ton of utility, right? Like did non-stop utility to pump, like every time, like you did Bored Apes.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the NFTs that do that, I mean, they're just brands. It's a social, yeah, it's a social club. It's like you took Supreme and you made it into an NFT, and then you built a even crazier community around it. And
I think Bored Apes is more like Von Dutch than.
Yeah, but hold on. On the Bored Apes. Okay, so you gave everyone who has a Bored Ape, you gave them a serum, you gave them mutants, you gave them ape coin, and you gave a dog and other side land. You haven't actually shipped any functional anything yet other than events. So at this point, what is left?
No, they shipped the game. Well, Improbable.
I mean, the
metaverse,
the demo actually looks pretty sick.
So
they have a game.
Doesn't look bad.
But it's built by Improbable, which is the first company I ever applied for a job at like 11 or 12 years ago. Which they built for the last decade. They've built open, like procedurally extendable games or something, like these AI infinite worlds. The Bored Ape game was basically that with monkeys in it, I guess, and like the Bored Ape characters as like decorations. But there's the exact same thing for like with a bunch of streamers happened a little while before, like virtually the same game, just with different like ecosystem like design. And I guess if that is successful, every NFT project can like license the software and build a clone of this with their own like branding on top of it. But yeah, they did ship it, and it does look pretty good, and it's like much better than any of these like voxels style weird things that look like nothing.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the end state for a lot of these NFT projects is. I'm not sure if like the best thing to compare them to is like clothing brands or like a game or like, because I feel like you kind of can take it in any direction that you want. I do agree that the biggest and like the most important thing though is the social aspect. Like people need to feel like they're part of a really tightly knit community, and they like are rewarded for being a part of that. I think that's the most important thing.
I don't know if there needs to be like an end state. I think it's just probably one of those things. It's going to become part of the culture. There are going to be things that come in style. There are going to be things that go out of style. In 3 years, people are going to look back at Bored Apes and they're going to go, "Wow, that's so cringe." Yeah. I mean, people do that now, but it's. It probably comes into style, out of style. Maybe you get it like I would kind of almost think about it like a Star Wars franchise, in that they keep trying to pump out new content. They pump out video games, they pump out action figures, they pump out movies, they pump out all sorts of different stuff, and that's kind of what these guys are trying to do. And they're just going to try to find new things to pump out. It's like, okay, well, maybe the next thing they do is they just sell plushies. I don't know. I mean, they're just going to try to milk the image for as long as possible until people don't find it cool anymore.
Yeah, but then they'll roll out something new.
When did Supreme top?
Which is cool. I mean, like, that's how culture works at the end of the day.
Yeah,
I mean,
totally.
Like,
Supreme still has a huge following. Like, if you go on StockX, some of the rare Supreme items sell for crazy amounts. A lot. Huge. They have a huge collector base. I feel like Supreme is still relevant, which is insane.
Yeah, maybe. I think if I were one of these NFT communities,
you guys think art blocks are coming back?
I'd, like, partner with like 10 others. If I was Cool Cats, I'd like forge like a metaverse alliance with X other projects and try and build like an open world rather than like the Bored Ape metaverse, which is just a game for Bored Ape holders. Instead, try and build something much bigger than just your project in collaboration with other projects that all want the same thing. That's what I'd do. I think if I was a bunch of them, like having 10% of that seems like higher upside than having 100% of a metaverse just for the people that like your currently existing project. I think that would be interesting, but I mean, I still think it's all pointless. NFTs are altcoins with pictures all going to zero, and the metaverse is not real. But
you don't think the metaverse? Have you ever used an Oculus?
Yeah, that's not the metaverse either, is it? That's just fucking VR.
Yeah. Pretty sick, actually.
But it's just VR. That's not the metaverse.
How often do you?
Should we do the podcast in the metaverse?
Wait, but Avi, real talk. How often do you use it, and what percentage of that time is porn? Real talk.
0.
Oh my god.
0%.
Yo.
Boom! The bitch is back.
Yo.
I told you.
But like even VR, it's not
I
the metaverse.
exclusively use it to go on VR roller coasters.
Really?
That's it. Nothing else.
How is that not just a shit version of a roller
I
coaster?
don't really use mine.
It's like the dumbest.
You got to try it, Kobe?
But even that's not a metaverse, so that's
gotta
just
try it.
a virtual world. Like, how is that different to like RuneScape but in 3D?
It's not, but I mean, it's like the whole point, right? It's just kind of a different. People like different things, right? I mean, people like RuneScape 15 years ago. Now people are going to get into their Oculus and they're going to go hang out with people as soon as it stops making them sick. Like, I will say, the one thing that's like wild to me, I think I might have mentioned this on a previous podcast, but like in the Oculus, people are just super nice. It's like everybody's kind of friendly. It's like a bunch of people that are around saying, "Hey, good job doing this, good job doing that."
He doesn't know
Wait,
the
but-
NPCs yet.
But wait, Avi.
No one
I
else.
feel like I feel like there was an article a couple months ago about a woman who was like gang raped in the metaverse. Do you remember this?
Just
I
take
saw
the
that.
headset.
I saw that.
I mean,
I saw it on
not to be
Twitter.
insensitive.
I did.
No,
see that
but
on
it was
Twitter.
like a
I mean,
really
I'm sure it was traumatic for her.
no, it was like a really insane.
You're gonna get canceled, bro.
But it was like
It was probably terrible.
it was an insane article. So I don't. Maybe it happens on the index valve since that's for like edgelords. I have an index valve. Like I'm not on the Oculus train. Ruh-roh. Uncool. Can we hang out in the same metaverse?
I think the trend for virtual reality.
If I'm not in the Facebook metaverse, can we still
I think
vibe?
that's.
This is what I mean. If you can't, then it's not a metaverse, is it? It's just a walled garden. It's just it's not a thing. It doesn't make sense. No one's making a metaverse.
Kobe,
There isn't one.
Every time you say that, the value of my shitcoins goes down exponentially. So I'd like you to
See,
stop.
Kobe, you're not thinking about it correctly. Metaverse just means meta, the company, and their verse. This is very simple.
Yeah, but like I understand
It
the
did take the
concept if you
name.
think about the third place, right? So like you go to work, you go home, and then you go to the third place, or you go to school and you go home and you go to the third place. And when you were pre-internet and you were young, it was maybe a skate park or the mall or whatever you say in America. In the UK, it's under a bridge or something with a bottle of White Lightning. And then, you know, as technology advanced, it like for my youth, it was like Halo 1, Halo 2 online with my friends. Like I live at home, I go to school, and I hang out in this third place, which is on Halo Live or whatever it used to be called, Xbox Live. And I talk to my friends, and then I see them in those other places again. So if you're updating the third place where you hang out with your friends and just saying it's another walled garden, like 3D version of that, I can kind of get it. But the metaverse, as I understand it, was supposed to be a digital layer that runs alongside the real world that augments everything in your real life to literally be a self-referential digital layer, like a meta layer over the real world. No one's building that. That doesn't exist. They just co-opting this language to try and sell you a shit game that you don't want to play, because all of the successful games that are used as a third place are actually really fun and engaging. You don't dress your character up and go, just stand there with your mates. You do something and you go, oh, well done, bro. You got a fucking headshot or something. Metaverse isn't real. It's not a thing. Anyone that tells you it's a thing, they don't do anything. Fucking book it, bro. It's not a thing. It's not real.
The bitch is back.
I think it's gonna happen at some point.
It's not real.
Somebody's gonna build it. It's just a matter of time. There's just like people they want to get lost in the sauce. It's like the deepest human desire.
When I think of Instate, I think of like, you know, Westworld, the show.
Yeah.
That's what I think of if like of actual like metaverse where people interact and like have different experiences. That's like the end state of kind of what I visualize that to look like. I agree. That's definitely
Even that's
very
the
far
real
away. I'm
world. You
not
don't
sure
go to
who's
the
working
Bored
on
Ape
building
Land
that.
to do that. You go on a train.
Facts.
Yeah, I mean it's like virtual, but to some people, like they don't want to be their person like that they are like in real life. They want to be that. Like some people on crypto Twitter are literally animals. Like they want to be that instead of whatever they are. I think in real life. I think the trend of people being like excessively online kind of aligns with like that third place being replaced with like going out rather than like staying in. I do think that's a growing demographic. I can't say it's the demographic I'll be a part of instead of going outside, but I do think that's like a group of people that's
Yeah, but that's just the internet.
bigger.
You just create an online identity on the existing website. It's not a thing.
Yeah.
No one. The metaverse is not real. You can't convince them otherwise because you can't convince anything of anything anymore on the internet. You just ignore them and go to a new group of people that understand you.
I think it's just it's the internet, but it feels more real, and there is more real life
That's
stuff
the real.
to do
That's the real world.
in it.
That's going to the club.
Yeah, but it's not going to be the real world. No, do you remember? I just remember in like near the end of the pandemic, right before everybody was about to go outside, CL went on this campaign to convince everybody that nobody would ever go outside again,
Wait.
and that all of CT was that.
Yes.
CT was the
Yes,
real.
I remember that.
He was like, nobody's ever going to go
Yes.
outside again. The pandemic has ruined the real world for everybody. Everybody's just going to be a cat on the internet. And then people started going
Yes,
outside.
I remember that. Very vividly.
People were like, "Wait, I don't have to be on Twitter all day. I can go outside.
I'm not
This
gonna
is
lie.
even.
can look at things."
But
This is
real life is
evidence.
kind of amazing. Real life is kind of fucking amazing. Like the thing,
Real life is
Depends who
great.
you
I love
are.
outside.
Like, some people
the
it sucks.
joy of the
don't
like
know.
the
Like we're very
feeling
lucky.
of sunshine on your face, the feeling of like having a really good hangout with someone, like hugs. Those things are really nice. As humans, we need those things. You cannot replace them with a VR headset and cats or apes or dogs or whatever on the internet. No amount of crypto.
Not yet.
Let me get my stim kit installed. Just pipe fucking chemicals into my brain to simulate what happiness and human touch feels like. Sounds great.
Oh well, look, if they can do that, I'll try that. Look,
The
I'm in for that.
Stim set.
The Matrix, bro. The Matrix and Westworld. You just gotta combine
That's
them together.
no, that's William Gibson. That's a neuromancer. You get your stim kit, strap it on,
Yeah,
plug
sounds good.
yourself into the Matrix, the metaverse.
I'll press the happiness button for sure, but I'm not going to hang out in the 3D world all the time when I can just not do that, and I can put someone on Discord and talk to them without having to like fully suit up and like walk around. I'm not doing that.
It's like so easy. You just put the headset on. I don't know. I would do it. I think it'd be dope. Just walk around and it's like you're in a different place in a different setting. You're on you're in a cliff or you're on a beach or you're somewhere and you're just hanging out with your buddies. But in reality, you're sitting on your desk, like
Where
next to your
are
desk.
your
because
buddies? Are they
it's
like
I'm not
down
gonna
the
go take a
street?
flight to Bali right now. In Puerto Rico, yeah.
What about
Your
the
buddies are all at their own
I won't
house
do
on
it
the
here.
same street on a cliff, right?
Yes. Because like why? Yeah. Why would you go interact in person?
what about the argument for like social trends though? Like, what if there's such a severe wealth gap that the people who can't travel only travel on the internet?
Oh yeah, I mean travel in the metaverse the travel in the other layer that's not the metaverse because the metaverse doesn't exist.
Third place.
Travel in your Facebook headset is going to be massive. It's going to be huge. Because like, I mean, there's so many people that would want to go to I don't know, go to Jordan, go visit Petra. You can only do that in your headset. And airfares are up 34% year over year since last
I'm
July.
saying, man.
According to
The
Wall
only-
Street Journal.
Who's like,
Pilots got
The only
double-digit
way
pay
this is
raises.
ever a thing, ever, although it's never happening. If it happens, you come clip this and tell me I was an idiot. I've lost all my money shorting whatever stock it was or whatever token. The only way this is a thing is if they figure out how to extract memories from a group of people, and you can go to the metaverse, not to a place, but to a moment in time.
Fuck
then-
yeah.
Then I'll do it. If I can go back to like a certain concert or a certain, inauguration or some event in history, I'll defo go there. I'll go there. But I'm not going to a cliff or a beach with my friends on the street, the same street as me, just to have a look to travel without traveling. I'm not doing that. But I'll travel through time and live through the memories of possible, and also great for porn, probably, maybe.
It, you guys, at the end of the day,
Maybe you
Well,
say
it's
that
also
it all
like,
comes back
is
to
there
porn.
consent? Is there consent
But
in
it all
memory
comes back to
extraction?
porn. You
This
guys,
Kobe's
it all
company.
comes back to horny people on the internet wanting to get off. It does. It's at the end of the day, it's all.
That's why you know if you get a heads up, if you get a 2-year heads up on the metaverse trend, because there's a popular porn metaverse first. So when you see that happening, then you long metaverse stuff. Until that,
Wait, have you guys not? Pornhub has like a VR section where you can wear your headset. Yes, it does.
got an
does
expert. We have an expert. Actually, no.
immediately. Of course it doesn't.
I'll go check. I'll go check right now.
I recently searched and there was nothing there.
And there was
See,
nothing
So like, do
there.
you meet up in Bored Ape outfits or what?
Wait, no, but you're
100%.
being serious?
No.
Do you think, is there board
Oh my
porn
god.
yet? I guess Rule 34 says
There
there
is.
is.
There is.
I feel like that definitely exists. But if there, what's it called? I'm tripping on the word. If hentai is a thing, then there's got to
Oh
be
my
Bored
God.
Ape.
No, there was
Oh, I know,
there was
sure.
a guy the other week on Twitter who posted a video of him like doing what is it called? Ape cosplay. He was doing Bored Ape cosplay. He like painted his face brown and dressed as his ape and then made a video. It was one of that.
I saw that. That was
I've
really
never
weird.
been so uncomfortable. I like
Yeah,
weird
that dude
shit.
is-
I was very uncomfortable.
Yeah,
I did
that
not
dude's got
like
some
it.
problems. He's got some problems. I don't know what they're
I
like.
did not like. Ugh.
They're on display.
See, and again,
Dude, the metaverse is a bet on the
There's-
mentally ill, bro.
and
I can't
everything
talk
is
about
a bet
metaverse
on.
anymore. Honestly, I'm gonna put a bullet in my own real life brain if we talk about metaverse anymore.
Okay, wait,
it's
hold
not
on.
real.
Guys,
Let's move on to talk about tornado crash and the U.S. regulations of privacy.
no. I don't.
Hold on.
Can we?
I am very happy that the FCC and the DOJ have clamped down on this illegal offering and stopped North Korea from laundering there. It is good for everybody. It is good for the country. It is good for crypto, and it is good for us. Did I do that?
Can I do that right?
We're good. It's good.
The one where Avi becomes the Fed.
good
Oh
thing.
shit. Oh shit.
There's been some.
If I was a Fed, I don't think any of the last hour should have ever happened.
No, that's just you. You've gone native. You've gone
No,
native.
yeah,
bro.
no.
They're worried
A lot
about
of people,
you.
Yeah.
a lot of people call me a
I'm
Fed
not- I'm
ever
down.
since the front running tweet got DOJ pickup. Like, I'm a Fed. I'm the least effective Fed of all time. Like, I've been doing this. I've been here for 10 years, and a lot of bad shit's happened. No one stopped any of it or did anything about it the whole time. I'm getting fucking fired if
Yeah.
I'm a Fed when they hear about what's gone on.
Okay, wait, can I just say one thing about the tornado cash thing, and it's gonna make people mad, and that's fine. Okay, here's what's crazy to me. Literally, there have been so many hacks over the last 6 months. It's like hack central, right? Over the last year, over $3 billion probably in hacks and exploits. Like 10 to 20% of all of that has been mixed through tornado cash. Like, it is very commonly talked about, like, oh, these people, Lazarus, hacked this and then tornadoed it. Like, to the point where tornadoing something has become a verb. So I think it's kind of unreasonable to expect that no one was going to do anything when you repeatedly have these large-scale hacks happening by known criminal groups affiliated with sanctioned regimes who are using this very specific tool repeatedly in a very public way. That being said, I think the way it was done doesn't make any sense. I don't know how you sanction a piece of code, and it creates a ton of like weird contingencies and weird liabilities that all need to get sifted through. And there is going to be a constitutional challenge to freedom of speech on the basis of this action, which is good, and hopefully will help define it. But like, come on, from an optics perspective, if we're repeatedly washing tens of millions of dollars of stolen funds through something to the point where its name has become a verb for that activity, like what do we think is going to happen? It's like a little bit of a...
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it was inevitable. Like, it was going to happen at some point. It was for sure coming. I think what I'm most scared about is just what it represents, right? I'm less scared about them taking down Tornado just because honestly, like, I don't think that there is a massive use for Tornado other than laundering money.
Wait, hold on.
It's kind of, I mean, it kind of makes sense.
I disagree with that. I've used Tornado
like,
before, and I use it to break transaction traceability between wallets that I don't want connected together. I don't think the use for it is purely criminal.
Yeah, I'm not saying that it's purely criminal, but I think if you look at the most of the volume came from criminal activity. Like,
no, it's less.
Like a substantial
Chainalysis just
30%.
released a number, 10%. Chainalysis said 10% today. Let's go with that number because it's a published number.
Yeah, I thought it was lower as well.
We can so 10 is it 10% just on Tornado?
That was the Chainalysis number that I saw today. Again, I don't know the specific number, but if we're going to use numbers, let's like use ones that are substantiated and put out by reputable firms. But saying all, I think saying
Fair
all
enough.
is an overreach. I do think there's a legitimate use for something that breaks transaction traceability. I think, if you receive payment in cryptocurrency and you are an anonymous employee or pseudonymous, or you work in a high risk role, or you're a dissident, or you're a journalist in a country where the press is under attack, like, you want to be able to break transaction traceability between wallets so you can't be targeted. Like, financial privacy is still a right.
Yeah, I'm not gonna argue that there's zero use for it. Like, that's not my argument. My argument is not that there's no use. My argument is that, like, it's used very heavily by people conducting criminal activities, and that obviously it's going to be the first thing that's going to be taken down. Like, obviously, right? I mean, if you look at all of crypto, and it's like, okay, what am I taking down first? You're going to take down the thing that allows people to launder a tremendous amount of money. I was wrong about the all. Like, you're right. There are some people that use it for legitimate purposes, but the reality is that it was helping people break sanctions, right? I mean, and the U.S. can't really stand there and kind of let that happen, because then what they do is they give a free pass to anybody to build this type of thing and have people launder money through it. And so, like, I don't necessarily think that they're going to be able to stop it, because smart contracts are there for a reason. But the reality is that they kind of, like, from the U.S. perspective, they have to try. They have to try to take it down. They have to try to send a message. Whether it works or not is a different story, and whether I agree with it or not is a completely different story. But if they don't do this, then they're kind of going to get screwed from a bunch of different angles. And so the question is, okay, well, where does it stop? For me, I actually, I don't necessarily agree that they should have taken down Tornado, but I'm not super upset about it, mostly because I don't think that it was a critical piece of infrastructure for people using crypto. It wasn't, super critical. It was for sure important. But the question is, does this mean that they're going to be able to take down a Uniswap or a Sushi Swap or another exchange that is
but this is precisely
money,
the issue.
right?
An exchange is an organization. It's an entity. It's incorporated in a specific jurisdiction. A smart contract lives on the blockchain. It doesn't have a jurisdiction. To sanction a smart exactly right.
Contract.
So you can slap Uniswap Labs, who writes the code, but at the end of the day, how do you sanction code, right? Like, this is Crypto Wars Part 1 from the 1990s being repeated, and this war will have to get fought, and that's why I say this is like an important constitutional battle that will happen. It will go, hopefully, to a high court. And I think Coin Center, by the way, everyone should donate to Coin Center. I think Coin Center is preparing for that fight. But I think the idea of sanctioning or like somehow deeming that a smart contract is a criminally liable entity crosses the threshold between what is code and what is an entity and what is an individual, right? Like, there's a fundamental boundary that has been crossed here, which is interesting because it introduces all of these edge cases. The other thing that's interesting is somebody today tweeted out that they've been collecting ENS domains and they're sending Tornado Cash ETH to every celebrity and every person they have in their list of ENS domains, which also is really interesting. Like, this is the new form of digital swatting. You just send some blacklisted funds to people's wallets and basically cut off their financial access, which is totally fucked also.
Yeah,
So I think the argument on that is slightly more nuanced. It's, hey, individual in the United States, you are barred from interacting with anybody from North Korea. If you interact with anybody from North Korea and you send them money, you are going to be in massive trouble.
You even
smart
talk to them about crypto, because
facilitate-
remember, Virgil's in jail right now for doing that.
Right. but it's not about saying that the smart contract itself is illegal. I mean, it kind of is, but it's more about saying, hey, we know that North Korea uses this a ton. If you interact with it, you are helping North Korea. It's about the rails, right? Like they're basically saying, hey, if you use a smart contract, we're just going to treat it as if you're interacting with North Korea.
But there's like
right? Because there might be a
that's
very
like
high
seven
that
leaps you're taking there. So for example, right, Avi, today, let's say you bank with HSBC. HSBC is basically laundering money for the triad at scale, right? So if you bank with HSBC, some of the dollars you touch are triad dollars. You are not, however, when HSBC gets slapped, you are not held liable for the fact that HSBC has been interacting with the triad and other criminal entities. So how does that...
But you are not, because HSBC is not nobody told you don't interact with HSBC. No, the government didn't say, hey, you individual, you're not allowed to interact with HSBC. They do say, hey, you're not allowed to interact with any banks in Iran. So if you go open an account with a bank in Iran and you go send money there, then you're in big trouble because they said you can't touch banks in Iran. So that's kind of what they're doing here, right? So I mean, look, I generally agree with you that it's going to be an interesting legal question, but I'm just pointing out that it's a little bit more nuanced than that, than just like the smart contract itself. It's like, okay, don't interact with this because we're going to deem this affiliated with North Korea, and if you interact with it, we're just going to treat you as interacting with North Korea.
Sanctions on addresses and smart contracts and stuff, like I don't think it's novel. Like we've had address blacklists in the past and stuff frozen in the past. What I think is novel about this case is that they said the entire TVL of Tornado Cash is all money laundering. So they said 7 point whatever billion is money laundered, which is the entire volume ever or something. They said it's by a hacker group known as Tornado Cash, and then they took down the GitHub accounts of the developers. So what they seem to be saying is Tornado Cash as a piece of code is fine, it's protected by freedom of speech. However, people repeating that piece of code are of a group who are supporting sanctions, like sanction evading or whatever. And I think the legal battle is going to end around that. Like, is it possible? Is this like protected? Is this free speech protected? Are these developers allowed to write this code in public that provides a mixing service, a privacy service that can be abused for money laundering, as many tools are, right? Like Cash is anonymous and used for money laundering, and often is, probably on a larger scale than Tornado Cash, maybe not by percentage usage. But so I think that is quite interesting. Like normally this stuff is protected by free speech. I think it's interesting that they've like maxed the TV and said this is all money laundering. And I think it's strange that there hasn't been more of an outcry. Like a lot of bootlicking, I think, of people saying like this is a money laundering tool. It it makes sense. I'm not surprised Tornado Cash has gone down. I expected it at some point. I knew they'd figure out some way I never used Tornado Cash with a meaningful amount of money because I thought at some point everything might be tainted, similar to how any Bitcoin that went through Silk Road got sort of tainted and was seen as drug money afterwards. But I think I've seen there's been a lot of like sort of bootlicking takes about it. And the main question that is in my mind is like how resilient are these systems? So Infura are going to block these sanctioned addresses. So like if you use MetaMask on the default settings, you wouldn't be able to use Tornado Cash anymore. But if you switch your RPC settings, then you probably can still interact with Tornado Cash, and it's with MetaMask or with any self-hosted wallet. So they can't really stop use of it on chain. And the interesting thing that remains to me is like how resilient are these systems for other purposes? What if they do the same thing to Uniswap? How resilient are those systems? If they do the same thing, all stable coins are now banned, and they try and take down DAI or something, how resilient are these systems? I think that's an interesting question because those are the areas where if there is weaknesses in the system and there are parts that there is people to apply pressure to so they become faulty or become weak links, those are the parts that the industry needs to sort of build around and strengthen and stuff. Sure, like stopping sanctions evading is a good thing, but also privacy is a human right, and everyone should have the right to privacy. I have several personal reasons to use Tornado Cash that are not evading sanctions off North Korea or washing like DeFi hack money. Like I'm a public person, so, and sometimes I want to move money around from wallets that have been docked, because I think that's reasonably normal. But yeah, complex topic, I think.
My thing is, if crypto is not able to provide that service to all of its users, then crypto, I think, is kind of failed. Because like if people don't have access to like their transactions being private and all of their wealth is just visible on chain all the time, 24/7, then like it's not really a feasible solution, I think, in like the long term. So I think what needs to happen is like if banning Tornado Cash needs to be the same as banning the service that Tornado Cash provides needs to be equivalent to banning all of crypto, because that's the only way that it's like not really a feasible thing that they'll be able to do. Like if everybody had access to private transactions and everybody was using whatever service or whatever app or whatever or thing was providing that, then it's like, how do you ban it? Because then you're like banning cash essentially.
To me, I think it's more like them trying to ban Signal and saying anyone that interacts with Signal is potentially a terrorist because terrorists communicate on Signal. And
you know what's crazy, Kobe, is everyone I interact with on the Hill uses Signal. And that is what the U.S. military and U.S. intelligence asks their operatives to do. So, yeah.
I mean, like what percentage usage of legitimate usage is enough? Like if it's 50% crime, maybe you ban it. If it's 10% crime but 90% legitimate, do you really have the mandate to sanction? It's like 10% crime. What if it's 1%? You probably don't.
But it's not about ban or not ban. There's the very premise, like we've already done this, the very premise of banning a piece of code, whether it's RSA or smart contract, is a futile exercise. This starts to get into the territory of there is legal math and illegal math. Like, no, bitch, it's math. Like, it is just a string of letters and numbers. You cannot ban math. And any of these arguments against specific types of encryption is like, we're not going to let the government dictate what types of math you can or can't do, when all math is just math. All code is just code. Has to be a hard one. I think the point Avi's making, like, you can ban specific entities, you can blacklist specific entities. There's something called due process that has to be followed in the course of law. There's something called lawful intercept, where you have to have a warrant to interrogate these things. And at the end of the day, Tornado, right, has an admin key to de-obfuscate these transactions and to investigate, really? Like, the... Yeah, they do. That's one of the whole premises, is they're compliant. They're compliant. That's the whole point behind Tornado Cash, I thought. It was that they could be compliant if they needed to. No, the whole idea was like, I thought the whole idea was it's like Zcash, right? Like Zcash's whole thing around privacy, I thought was, okay, we have a private key and we can decrypt transactions if we have a warrant. Isn't that like the whole premise of these things?
Zcash can't.
Zcash is made by the CIA.
Zcash would object.
There are rumors that you can do that with Zcash, but there's nothing that's ever been confirmed about it.
What about Tornado Cash?
Which for some reason, it's like, can we talk about the fact that the market decided to buy Zcash
after this came out for
absolutely no reason?
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah.
It's like zero reason. I thought it was up on the curse.
But Zcash is so cursed already that it inverted it. The curse was lifted, like it's like double curse.
Wait, are my bags pumping? Can I finally sell my Zcash?
You're at minus 98% now.
Bro.
A negative times a negative is a positive. That's math. You can't ban that.
Full circle, Avi. Full circle. I'm liking what you're putting down. This whole being single thing is really working for you, Avi, I have to say. Ladies, you heard it here. Ladies and Do Kwon. Ladies and Do Kwon.
No, that part. You can keep this in so the audience has no idea what you're referring to. But
The funny part is he will actually reply. Like he
Definitely
would be the
cut it out.
person to reply and like talk
Ladies and Kwan.
I mean, we have a good relationship. I don't want him
Yeah,
to get a bad idea.
slide on
into.
into Avi's DMs. He's got eye cream. He's feeling good. He's single. He's ready to mingle. Don't use Tornado Cash. Avi will not go out with you if you've used Tornado Cash.
No. I'm not allowed to.
All right, so Avi, you got a new job between the last one and the new one, right? You got a new job.
Wait,
so
what are you
I
doing
did,
now?
yes.
Oh, what
I
happened?
did. Yeah. Well, if you followed me on Twitter,
I do.
you'd know.
It's just you tweet so infrequently.
But I do. I took a long break from Twitter just because there was nothing to talk about. I was like, there's no reason for me to tweet things. No, I work at
At Golden Tree. Nice. That's a great fund. Congrats.
Yeah.
All right.
Dragging them
So
into
this leads
crypto
me to
one
my
step at a
next
time.
topic/question. Of VCs have like $7 billion sidelined or something, right? All the new raises, Variant $1 billion, A16Z did a couple billion, Paradigm got $1 billion. I'm sure Avi's got a couple billion somewhere in that house. And I think I saw a thing. It was like the total just from these ones that we know about was like $7 billion dollars. None of them planning to buy our bags. Like they have no intention to buy our bags. They're trying to find
They're
new
making
stuff.
new bags to dump on retail. Yeah.
Exactly. They're making their new bags, hoping for 10 to 100 x returns, so 70 to 700 billion in return, I guess. What are they buying? Like, how do you allocate 7 billion in today's environment? You don't have to talk about your actual strategy, Avi. I just wanted to merge in with like VCs, other people's money thing. But you maybe are an expert.
What people really should be doing is they should be buying Bitcoin so the market can start going up. That's what they should be doing.
I agree.
I
agree.
Or
they could buy Ethereum, honestly.
You
Either
have
one.
$5 billion, and you're like, how do I make the absolute most money possible? It's buy Bitcoin and wait, and then once Bitcoin starts going up, then diversify your Bitcoin into the other bags that you actually wanted to buy at first. That's the best way to make money, if you were smart. Now,
tell them, bro.
Look, Avi, I've got 60 grand. Does it still work?
Listen to me.
No.
Yeah. Yes. Can you bump it up to 65?
I'll be maxing
If
my
you do
leverage,
65,
sure.
then yes.
You think people are doing this? Because it
Alright.
feels a little bit like no one wants to bite that bullet anymore, or like Sailor's taken on that role. I'm going to prop up Bitcoin. I'll keep buying. Like who are the bidders now that are doing this? Like, where are they? Why are they not making it go up?
Sailor's out. Sailor's out, you guys.
They're billions of dollars underwater, dude.
Did you guys see Sailor's tweet where he just basically BTFO'd everybody? He tweeted out MSTR stock price since they adopted the Bitcoin standard, and then everything else, and it's
it'd
just
be like
crushing everybody.
8% of the other S&P companies.
I love Sailor, dude.
Yeah, I mean, it's okay. Here, I got it. It's like MSTR is up 123%, Bitcoin's up 94%, S&P up 23%, gold down 13%, Google up 54%, Apple up 43%, Netflix down 53%. He just like BTFO'd everybody. I mean, he actually played this so well because he issued a ton of stock at the top and short up his balance sheet, and it's honestly like pretty incredible. Like he's made himself, his shareholders, everybody a lot of money. So I think it's kind of interesting because everybody goes, oh, well, isn't Sailor going to get screwed by the shareholders because Bitcoin's going down? It's like, dude, he made them a lot of money by doing this. Like, he made all of his shareholders a lot of money.
Yeah, especially versus. Imagine if he did.
Bitcoin from
like,
the
what happens to the company then? Like, hadn't gone on this journey. Sure, maybe he could have executed better.
Yeah.
Maybe he could have sold or hedged the top or whatever. But giving someone the feeling, oh, you should have sold the top.
Here, I'll give you a quick story about MicroStrategy. So my first job out of college for 4 months was Capital One in McLean, Virginia. The building of Capital One was across the street from the MicroStrategy building. Everybody that didn't get an offer during my internship at Capital One went to go work at MicroStrategy, and everybody patted them on the back and they said, "Sorry to hear that, dude. That sucks." Like, It was not like a great place to work before then, and now it's like they've crushed it, right? Like they've totally crushed it. So I'm like, well done, MicroStrategy.
I wonder if there's gonna be another Sailor soon.
I thought Jack would go a bit harder.
like no, Jack's chilling. Jack's building Web 5 and
they didn't sell though, right? They just had their whatever Q2 thing or whatever.
I think Square and Cash App are integrating a bunch of Bitcoin stuff. He's doing Blue Sky now too. He's built out like a pretty sizable team around Blue Sky, which is supposed to be their decentralized like social media platform that's supposed to replace Twitter. No, look, every cycle. So here's my thesis, and it's kind of not nice. I think a lot of people on crypto Twitter like didn't have father figures growing up, which is why they latch on to these like leaders every cycle for like.
Oh my god!
I'm sorry.
What is this theory?
Oh my god!
Kobe, can you run a poll? I need you to tweet a poll right now. Did you have a father figure?
Okay, but
Yo, you should.
For a supposedly leaderless movement, the Bitcoin community simps so hard every cycle for a different wannabe hero, and every cycle we kill that hero, right? It's like we do this every single time. We just have these characters that get created. It's always the same character also. There's like no new archetypes. It's like, yo, what are we doing? Why? I don't get it.
Who was it last time? Who was the preprevious Sailor?
I don't think Kai's
the previous Sailor. No, it was Jack Dorsey for a while. It was Jack Mallers, like who I still don't know what Strike does. But like kudos to him for memeing himself into that. It was Samson Mao. It was Dan Held. Like I feel like Bitcoin has had, who's the really religious guy? There was like some really religious guy who now has a big following. Oh, it was Pomp for a while. Don't forget about Pomp. He's big on that list. There's like this whole
what's Pomp up to?
Multi-level marketing.
I think he got quite nuked with the thing going to zero.
No, I think he's doing fine. He just like he does a lot of content. He promotes different things on his Twitter. He like figured out a good multi-level marketing strategy. He has a bunch of newsletter people who pay him money. He has his podcast. It's the same content, but it's very digestible. I think Pomp has built a good little situation. Respect.
Never listened to it. I've read.
Yeah, what are the Bitcoin heroes who's made it?
Content. Do you learn anything from it, or is it just like listening to the weather?
I don't listen to most crypto podcasts.
That's fair enough.
I don't learn anything.
Does anybody learn anything from this podcast?
We do 3 episodes a year. It doesn't really matter, does it? If we were to try to make it a business and just talk shit every day, like 3 times a day, then maybe.
No, but this is group therapy. This is what I call it. Like, this is not a podcast. This is just us doing group therapy. And then me figuring out how I'm going to marry Kobe's dad and become his stepmom. That's
my dad looks great at the moment. My dad's like been hitting the gym hard. He's in great shape. Looks the best he's looked in maybe 20, 30 years. Maybe ever. Who knows?
Can we throw up a picture on the screen?
I don't know if we can't afford editors anymore. I'm going to have to do this myself. So, if I can figure out how to do that, then yeah, sure.
Oh my god.
Is there anything to talk about? I kind of feel like there isn't a lot to talk about.
Yeah, we recapped the entire last 6 months pretty quickly. The entire industry died. It was due to irresponsibility and low critical thinking skills and maybe god complexes. We spoke about how dickbutts are the new Bored Apes. We spoke about Tornado Cash. We spoke about how metaverses don't exist. We spoke about layer 2s in Ethereum season and how bridge exploits just make people want to stay on the main chain maybe. Spoke about new layer 1, spoke about the VCs with $10 billion on the sidelines. And now I'll chat to you all in another 6 months maybe.
I want to get
maybe. If we can get our schedule so
I want to get some Avi updates.
So what do you want to be
periodically.
updated on?
The whole reason I come on this podcast is to hear about Kobe's dad, and now it's also getting updates on your dating life, Avi.
Wait, so how long have you been single for?
All right, in 6 months we'll come back and I'll let you.
You've been single for 4 days.
4 days.
Lit.
Is
Lit.
Yeah,
Dang, that's new, bro.
Lit.
Bad breakup?
4 days. And within 4 days, I'm trying to explain what an ether rock is to somebody else. That's not going well.
Wait, how did
Honestly, if she is
not
not
working.
into your ether rock, I don't think you can date her.
how did you start talking to someone about an ether rock on a
She
date?
didn't know what it was. Oh, I was not on a date. Don't. 4 days after, no way. Some girl just started asking me about it. I was like, I realized that I forgot how to talk. It's like, yes.
Where did she see it?
I have an ether rock now. She's like, what is that? I'm like, I actually never mind.
Yo, I think he's gonna be
Where
single
did she
for a
see the
while,
rock?
dude. I don't think he's got
I
much.
told you it's
dope.
on my. So it's on my. No, I've got zero hope. It's on my. It's my Insta profile pic.
Would you ever date anyone from crypto Twitter? This is addressed to the men and not to you, Malcolm, because we know the answer.
What are you? Wow. Don't hate the player,
Oh my
hate the
God.
game, Kobe.
I'm not hating anyone. I just don't want to publicize your.
Also, by the
covers.
way, this is not a fair question because the ratio of men to women on crypto Twitter is obscenely skewed. I will say, like, crypto Twitter is
Yeah, fair enough, fair enough.
95%
I mean-
male. You know,
If I were a woman, it's probably 90.
Is it that high? I feel like it's not that high.
what? Wait, what do you think it is, Z?
I feel like it's not that high. I feel like 4 years ago, four years ago, I feel like it was like 98%. Now I feel like it's like
Okay,
77.
I would say 92.
I
Kobe,
it's-
you said
no matter
80?
what, no matter what, it's high. It's like
We got
3/4 at
like 5
least.
points.
No, because I'm only gauging this because I went to like some of the stuff this year. Like I went to the AVAX thing, I went to like the Solana thing. There was like actually like some normal people there, which I was really surprised about. Because like in 2017 and 2018, it was like the
Yeah,
people
but
I
don't
knew
you
from
think there's a
Twitter, and then it
selection
was
bias?
like
Only the normal
you know,
people
it
go
was,
to the
you know, it was
in-person
like
events. Like
C-
the rest of us sit in our same room. You
Yeah.
know.
Yeah.
that is true.
Avi's at
so I'll
home
say
with
this.
his Oculus.
We get so
That is true.
My intern DAO, like the DAO intern DAO, we get a ton of applications every day, and if you go screen those applications, maybe 1 in 10 is a woman, like maybe, because they all say it on their like application or like it comes out. So like it's I don't know, maybe that's not
it's-
representative, but we definitely need more women
Well,
in the space.
I feel like there's
to encourage
there's
it.
women on CT, but it's like maybe not all of them want to work
I
in
don't
crypto
wanna work in
yet.
crypto,
like
man.
they're there, but they're kind of. I feel like
Yeah.
a lot of them are
But
just
There's
back to
also,
the
like, a
question,
lot
the
of
important question.
Do you think it's an encouraging enough space,
No.
Malcolm, for women?
A
Bro,
lot
she
of
was saying
women
it's
who get in.
barren means.
So, and the
yeah,
So the-
what? Yeah, what?
Good point. How
no,
do we,
so
how
the
do we
issue
make
is
it
a
work?
lot of women who get into crypto and are now in like positions of power in the industry. A lot of them have privately messaged me and been like, I don't know how to deal with this, but like people send me death threats. People send me incredibly abusive emails. Like there is a very strong contingent of very negative, toxic energy out there. There's just like a group of people on the internet who just really hate women. I've been doing this for 7 years professionally. Like I've been doing it for 7 years. At this point, I love it. I think it's funny. But it doesn't feel that way at first. Like a lot of people just get really, really uncomfortable because the minute they do anything in the public eye, not only do they face criticism for their ideas, which is normal, and I think a universal experience, like people in crypto Twitter are going to argue with you based on the merit of your ideas, but women get this extra layer of misogyny where like you have to be fucking 10 times as good as the dudes. And then on top of that, you have to deal with people abusing you, harassing you, sending you all sorts of weird shit and like insulting you purely on the basis of your gender. So no, it's not a great space.
Yeah, that's fucked.
Is it improving?
I think certain
Like
ecosystems,
tiny
yes.
bit?
Like Bitcoin is
No?
super hostile to women unless you are a Bitcoin maximalist influencer. So a lot of the women in Bitcoin have just like figured out, as long as I stick with the party line and don't color outside the lines, that I'm safe, which I think is a worthless exercise. Like, be your own fucking person, please. And then I think like Web3 is pretty okay. Ethereum's like pretty okay. Other ecosystems, DeFi, like rough. It kind of depends, but on the balance, marginally better. But it's tough.
What's the most?
I don't
feminist
none
chain?
of that. I mean, look, it's not about feminist or not feminist. It's just like, yo, I'm happy to debate the merit of my ideas. Like, if I say dumb shit, let's talk about it. I'm happy to be insulted and accosted on the internet by people with no social skills for the quality of my ideas or what I put forth. But the fact that I have a vagina has nothing to do with my opinions. Like, those are two separate things. My physical characteristics and the fact that my gender is female has no bearing on the quality of my ideas. So we just need to learn to separate the two. A lot of people are not capable of that.
Did she disappear in the middle of this rant? Did she just rage quit on us?
They hacked her, bro. They hacked her.
They took her down.
Hacked her, bro.
They took her
We are
down.
not accepting culture.
Kobe kicked her off.
Sorry. Did you guys
back.
figure out the most feminist Shane?
No, we didn't. Did you get so mad you disconnected?
We're saying they hacked you.
No. Look, I'm not mad about it. It's like, but it's one of these things that's just like, let's move on. I just find it so ridiculous. It's like, okay, it's a woman. Like in 2015, I go to Bitcoin conference and people were like, oh shit, it's the girl. Or they'd be like, did you talk to the girl? I'm like, guys.
Oh my god.
Chill. I'm standing right here. And that was fine. That's like kind of cute.
I went with Diana, and it was like
But
that
that's,
with
like,
Diana
kinda
as well.
cute.
People were like, "There's a girl
You're
here."
like, oh. Yeah. But then they're talking to each other. They're like, yo, did you talk to the girl? It's great. No, I just think like...
Listen, the Millennium Party was 50-50.
Anyways, it's not really that interesting to talk about it.
The Milady Party was like 50-50.
The what party?
There's
Oh, really? The Miladies had a party?
They've had a ton of parties.
Really?
Yeah.
I own a...
No, there's-
Wait, Milady Maker?
Wasn't that the one that had some weird stuff associated with it? People were accusing it of being a cult.
Yeah. But it was 50-50, so...
It was like,
Yeah.
okay. Okay.
Wait, I
Gotta take what you can get.
Wait, I have multiple Miladies.
Equal amount of women is a cult.
Oh, Bitcoin's a cult. I mean, all things are cults. That's just the most
Lit.
gender
That
balanced
way.
cult that there was. It was
Yes.
also like allegedly in a...
Fair enough. No, it's
Wait,
good,
how
that's
do
a
I-
good check mark.
How do you what?
How do I get invited to the Milady parties? I own a couple of Milady Makers.
They happen all the time. They're in New York.
Actually, if
Oh shit, I want to go.
if you
They
own
post-
the
they post
ladies
the,
and you
they
have
post all the stuff on
invited,
Twitter.
it's maybe
I've been
because they're
told.
intentionally fading you, so it'd be awkward now.
Yeah, I was about to say, how do you not know that? I'll bring you to a Milady party. I got
Was
you.
it actually a cult? Or did anyone ever get to the bottom of it? I like read a thing. It was like it's a cult, and then
Okay.
I read another thing saying it's not a cult, and then I was like, no, it's defo a cult, and then I stopped reading because I was like, this has no impact on my life, so why am I reading this internet?
Yeah, I mean it's not. I know. I don't know all the founders. I know some of them. It's not, but it's like really deep, weird, like internet culture shit. Like it's really weird.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's like-
if you go deep,
It's
like deep
8chan.
into it, it's weird. Like it's a lot of stuff that's kind of like not like almost connected but not connected, and like there's also people who are trying to make it like a lot more, like a lot bigger than like what actually is there, because they know what the appearance looks like, and there's people that don't like them, and a lot of them were around like during that time period, so they know exactly what to press on to like get people to react to it. Well, I don't know if you were around for like, it kind of reminds me of like I don't know if you guys know like Odd Future type like I don't know, you guys like know like Tyler the Creator, like Earl Sweatshirt.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So like some of them say like kind of like wild like stuff all the time, like in their music and things like that. And there's definitely like some fringe people associated that kind of did like similar stuff like that. So not a cult, but it's definitely
it's cult adjacent.
You know, it's an internet.
There was a cult. This isn't it. But they existed near each other, kind of.
Yeah.
There might be a little bit of overlap, but who knows? It's in the past.
Yeah.
Got it. So I shouldn't make a profile picture.
Yeah, but the best profit is cult adjacent or just directly in cults.
Yes,
That's
yes.
where the alpha
Hex was
We know you
number
like
3.
Richard. We know you like Hex.
That's not what I said. You gave me
I think you
Sophie's
said.
choice.
No,
I think you're exactly.
Not what I said.
Yeah, I think your exact words was
pretty
Richard's pretty lit
enthusiastic.
or something. I think you actually brought him up.
I mean, the man.
We were talking about regulators or
Have you seen
something.
him twerking? Have you seen him twerking?
Unfortunately, I have. Yeah, more than one time actually.
All right, pick your favorite cult leader. Richard, Charles Hoskinson, Doe. How many other cult leaders do we have?
What's the
I guess
code?
Kobe, you're kind of a cult leader.
Yeah, Kobe's definitely a cult leader.
No, I'm the court jester.
all of
There's
crypto
other kings.
Twitter.
I just make laugh.
No,
Do you know,
Kobe
do you know
is
how
the
many
cult
DMs I
for
got
sane
about
people.
you? Everybody said, "Hey, which reminds me, I need to ask the question." Everybody said, "Hey, ask Kobe if he's still long. I need to know. I need to know when to take profit." I got like 60
I just
L's
tweet
like
it
that.
live, but on the other account.
So if we don't answer the question,
Yeah, people keep asking me to let them in.
I devised an anti-snitch scheme where if someone leaks, a pro-snitch scheme where if someone leaks, if you snitch to me, I'll remove them from the account and add you. It's like a one-in, one-out system. It prevents leaks by being very pro-snitching. But it doesn't really make sense. Like I'm not even that my opinion really doesn't matter. I get it wrong all the time. And I change my mind every 35 seconds, so why the fuck do you care? All those people, if someone's still long, doesn't matter if God's still long, you just need to go what do you think? Why don't put someone else's thoughts into your own trading system? Because what if I change my mind before you get your next message from Ravi? Yes he is, but then I change my mind 7 seconds later, then what? It's fine. It don't matter anyway. There is no one that has 100% correct. Not even good people average 60% good outcomes. There's maybe GCR.
So you are still long.
Is GCR still? Yeah, is he still long? Maybe I'll copy him.
guy never loses.
But anyone copy me?
Yeah,
is
GCR is a monster.
not as dumb as more dumb than me, but I am still dumb. So it's like Russian dolls of stupidity.
Wait, what layer are we? Are we on the
I
outside,
don't
or are
even know
we
which
the
is good on
final?
which is the stupidest
doll you get
one.
to
Is it the
once
one in the
you-
middle, or is it the outside shell? Who fucking knows? We're at 2 hours. What do you think?
Oh, no.
Final question
That's actually a
to
good question.
exit the episode, so these people can get some of their lives back. Is anything what's the fucking craziest thing going to happen before our next episode? You can theorize one event, it up. What's the thing that you think is going to happen before the next episode? What are we going to be talking about? Is El Salvador going to capitulate? Are they going to go all in? Is Mexico going to announce they're now using DAI as their primary currency? Are the regulators going to take down Solana? The merge doesn't work. The merge.
What if the merge?
The merge
work?
doesn't work. That's a
I
pretty
was
good one.
thinking the same thing.
Bro, because that's
Yes.
we've had so much wild stuff happen this year. What if that's the final, the nail in the
The final
coffin? Then we
twist
just
is the merge
we
doesn't
just go to
work.
zero.
Everybody gets hacked immediately.
Stables,
and-
stables up now worth nothing. Yo,
Yeah, and Chandler's proof of work fork ends up being the dominant
what?
Ethereum chain. Yep.
What?
T.
bro, and then Bitcoin,
Oh,
Bitcoin goes up. because everybody like you can't de-risk into stables because they're all ERC20 tokens, so you have to buy.
What if this BTC maxi hate is the absolute bottom of Bitcoin dominance? And then
It's the
Ethereum
BTC
rate
top.
goes up
I hope that
straight
happens.
line.
That would be a good thing.
That
to
would be
happen.
insane.
Tea.
If Bitcoin just goes in a straight line up and nukes everything else, I'd be exceptionally pleased for a little while. It means we can be rich again. But all right, merge fails. Yeah, because Bitcoin needs to pump to carry everything
Does
else
it?
up. Like, we can't just have like the low tier trash pumping and the majors just lagging down. It's like the Titanic going down, right? Like everything's sinking, but one end of it goes high in the sky. You're like, if you're in those bags, you're like, I've got a great view here on the Titanic. I don't feel the effects of this sinking ship. Whereas the whole thing's going down, you're all freeze and die. All right, merge fails. Bitcoin dominance turbo run.
Nice. What else is gonna happen? Ooh, I feel like one of the charlatans is gonna come back and do something.
No, he's
What's
releasing
Martin
a token.
Shkreli up to? He's been really
He's doing like
quiet.
yeah.
Has anyone checked on Martin? Oh, he is. Okay, good. Good.
I think it already exists.
Are you investing in it, Kobe?
I think he like had an idea and he said he
Oh,
will adopt an existing meme token about him that existed while he was in prison or something, as the like official token of this project. Which,
Okay.
like, if that's true, I mean, I don't know. I didn't look into it more than like reading one tweet that came up in my feed. But quite cool if he has done that. It seems like it's not an insider owned thing, maybe. Anything
What
with a big
else?
centralized exchange?
honestly, I just kind of want to have.
Stable coins are illegal.
No.
I don't think that. I just think it's so low. I think the merge messing up is higher probability than stablecoins going to zero.
The merge is definitely going to
Wow.
be chaotic, max chaos.
All right, we'll record an episode
Max
It's gonna be
chaos.
fun.
the day of the merge.
It's gonna be exciting.
See you then, whenever that may be. Peace, everyone.
Bet.
I'm down. It was a pleasure as always.
Bye, guys.